Hello, my fellow Munsters. Thank you so much for being here on my second video. And boy, do I have a special video for you. We're going to say this video is like a story time, right? And I actually wanted to do this little video because today I'm going to be going to Burnt Umber to actually get a nice little cup of coffee while I tell you this. To give a little intro of what it is that I am going to be talking about, this is going to be about my first ever ghost experience. Because I've only had 3 major ones. And I think I'll tell you those stories of those as time goes on. We'll make it to like a little mini series. We'll do like we'll say coffee and ghost stories. How about that? We'll call it that, right? But I really want you to come along and hear this. I know we've all had a ghost experience in some form or fashion. Being in the spooky community myself, I know that some of us have, but also some of us haven't. So I just want to share my experience with you because who knows? Some of you guys have had some crazy experiences that you guys should talk about too. Oh, and please mind the outfit. Just kidding. I actually just made a video for my Instagram. If you're not following me, you definitely should. Because Instagram is going to see this outfit first before everyone else. So I actually got this shirt from Backstage Bruja. She does amazing shirts. Especially makes some cool men's shirts, which I saw this and I was like, you know what? I just had to. It's still warm outside, which sucks. But this will be a good like little outfit to kind of like wear as like the times get cooler. It's still hot enough here in LA to where you can get away wearing a tank top and shorts. So whatever, but that ain't me. But come with me and we're going to dabble into the paranormal together.
Burnt Umbers is a romantic gothic-themed coffee shop in Garden Grove, California. Their decor inside makes you feel like you walked into an 18th century Victorian lounge. It's extremely cozy, and just a wonderful place to get lost in this beautiful time warp of a shop. They feature an amazing brand, Petals and Poison, that's absolutely worth checking out. For this story, I went with the Hollow's Eve Latte, which is to die for. Now this ghost experience has haunted me to this very day.
Let's go back a few years. This all started when I was about maybe 7 years old, 8 years old. I was young years old. Some of you guys know I was born and raised down in Texas. Waco, Texas to be specific. I was actually born a little bit outside of Waco, kind of in a smaller town towards the countryside. And I swear, the house I stayed in was haunted. When I was young, I just knew it was. But I didn't understand what that meant, right? I've seen scary movies at the time. Kind of is the reason why I am the way that I am now. But when I was younger, I just knew something was wrong. So, this is where it all started. It started out with small things, right? It started out with little things. I remember I'd be walking down the hallway, and it would be quiet, and I would just hear my name. I would sit there, and it would just hear, Milo. Milo. I remember just hearing it in my ear, and I knew when I was a kid, I actually thought, I was like, you know what, I'm just hearing things. You know, it's like, I'm just a kid, I'm hearing things. I was very conscious at that time. I just understood things. And I was like, you know what, no, I'm just hearing things. But then things kind of got a little weirder. I remember one day I was laying in my room, and out of nowhere, the door would just close by itself. But I wasn't scared of this thing. Like, I knew I was okay, or I don't know, something about it just knew I was safe, right? A lot of the times I would just chalk it up to just, things are just happening. And I'm a kid, I don't know anything about the world, so I kind of just accepted it. Well, then there was one time, I remember sitting in my living room, and in my living room, I could see down the hallway to the right, me looking down to the right, was actually my bedroom. I remember seeing it. Into the hallway, there was a man. There was a man standing there. He had on a fedora hat. Don't ask me why. He had on a fedora hat, and he had on like a business coat. And I remember him just looking right at me, but I wasn't scared. It didn't seem menacing. It was just looking at me. I remember staring at it for a split second, thinking that it was just gonna flash away, because I thought I was seeing things, but at the same time I was conscious. I was like, no, I know what I'm looking at right now. I see this thing, and it sees me. I remember looking at it. It took a step forward, then it turned to its left, and then it walked right into my room. It just took that step forward, and then turned. And I could see the side of the face, I could see ears, I could see hair, I could see the hat, I could see the coat move. That's what made it so real. But it's not like it was fake, you know? It wasn't a dream. I know it wasn't a dream. I was there. I think it was like a random Wednesday after school too. So I have no idea. So that's when things were getting a little more intense. And then it left up to one night. Out of nowhere, I started hearing a woman's voice. Now a woman's voice was saying my name. And it sounded like my mom. But I remember there'd be nobody home, or my mom would be asleep, something like that. I remember I would hear my mom's voice just say my name. Again, I was like, you know what? I'm just hearing things. It's okay. Now, there was one night. It was a beautiful night, might I say. The moon was so bright that night. I had my window facing kind of where the moon sits. And it was just shining bright blue inside of my room. It was amazing. And my bed was laying against the front wall. At the foot of my bed was my door frame to come in and out of my room. I had that door open all the time because I was so scared something was going to happen. I was going to have to run out and go to my mom's room. Well, I remember that night. I was laying there. I was facing my wall. And then something woke me up. I don't know. I just woke up. I looked around my room and it was nice and blue in there. So pretty. Then at the foot of my bed, I saw it. I saw this thing at the foot of my bed. It was standing there looking right at me. And it was a dark shadow. And this shadow had the shape of a woman. And now, let me tell you, at the time, my mom actually had a bob haircut. And as I was looking at this figure, it was dark in my room, but this thing was darker. Like, it was darker than it. And it actually outlined it inside that shadow. And I remember looking. It had the hair, and then it had like cat ears. I don't know what it was. It had like cat ears or pointy ears at the top. But then it had these yellow eyes that were looking right at me. And I remember they weren't glowing. It wasn't bright, but they were definitely there. I could see them. And I thought it was my mom. And I remember sitting up, looking at it, and saying, "Mama, Mama." I thought it was my mom. But this thing just kept looking at me. I remember it took a step forward, it turned left, and it walked right out of my room. And it was so weird. It just turned and then walked out. But as it walked out, the darkness around it got lighter. So like I'm saying, it was dark in my room, but that thing was darker. And it outlined itself. It was such a weird experience. So it walks out of my room. The next day, I see my mom. And I remember walking up to my mom. Now remember, I'm a little kid. Walked up to my mom, and I was like, "Mama, did you go in my room?" She looks at me and goes, "No, not at all." So I tell her what happened. I'm like, I thought I saw you in my room, Mama. Looks at me, goes, "I was not there." And I just kind of shook it off, and I was like, well, okay. Just like I said, it was just a weird encounter. So that was one thing. So fast forward a couple of years. I remember talking to my mom about this, and I was like, "Mom, do you remember the house we were staying at? Did you ever have any weird encounters there?" And she tells me, "You know what? I did have one." And I'm like, "Please do tell," right? So she says that she was sitting in the living room. She looks down the same hallway that I looked down, where I saw that man standing there looking at me. On one of the door frames, she said she saw a pair of women's arms doing this motion right here. She saw the arms stick out of that door and then do this. I don't know why. She only saw those arms. She didn't see a person. She just saw the women's hands doing this, which is freaked me out just thinking about it. But that was the only encounter that she had. So now, I want to say I'm like 12 or 13 at this time, right? So I remember my aunt and I were driving. I'm a teenager at this time, right? Keep in mind, my whole family grew up in that house. That was my mom, my aunt, my uncle. That was their childhood home. So my aunt, we were driving. And we got on the conversation of that house. And I remember she just randomly said, "I swear the house is haunted." And I was like, "Oh, really? Me too? Okay, cool." I thought it was just me. I thought it was only me. And so my aunt tells me, she's sitting there. She's like maybe 12 years old at the time. She's sitting there in the living room. Something about that damn living room where all the things happen. She's sitting in the living room. We had a bar where we would, eat at and all that stuff. And she said that there was a spoon on there. There was a spoon sitting right there on that bar. She says that she was sitting there watching TV. She heard it first. She heard that spoon start sliding. She looks over and sees that spoon fly right off the damn bar and hit the kitchen floor. But let me tell you, she jumped. She said that she got so scared, she ran right outside that house, went to the driveway, and then called my uncle, just asking him when he was going to come home. Because at that time, she did not want to be in that house no more. So that's how I knew something was happening in that house. Now, I did research. I couldn't find anything. No murder that happened in that house. Wasn't buried on any sort of spiritual ground that I'm aware of. But I've always wanted to go back to the house and just ask people that live there and say, "Hey, do you mind if I walk around here? This is my childhood home." And just to see if I had some sort of encounter, see if maybe that thing remembered me. Because I sure remembered it. Thank you for listening to my first encounter. That was a huge one for me. And it actually kind of shaped how I am now. Thank you for listening to that story. If you have any experience yourself, please put it down in the comments. I'm sure other people would love to hear about it. And if you like this style of video, please let me know. Please subscribe for more adventures to come. Let's go home.
Welcome back home, monsters. Just remember, my coffin is your coffin. And there you have it, my first major ghost encounter. I'll do a little series on this, so that way you can kind of hear my ghost stories throughout my life. And remember, you're always welcome to share your experience too. There are things beyond this realm that we cannot comprehend. There's some things that we just don't know. Some things that makes us question what it is that we think we know. But that's why I'm here. Come along with me for my future adventures. We're going to be going to haunted houses, haunted hotels, and spooky stories that just may keep you up at night. If you like this content, please subscribe. Comment down below what else you would like to hear from me, because I want to grow along with you. You guys have stuck with me through my journey, and I'm just here to do this for you. This has been your Vampire Milo. Remember, loves, stay spooky.